I'm going to share with you right now the biggest reason why investors do a poor job of even matching the market. Forget about being the market. They don't even match it. There are so many studies that show that based on the way investors respond to the market, they lose the market between 4 and 6%, even while staying actively involved. Okay? Steph Curry and LeBron James, they are phenomenal athletes. What do? They practice a ton. They never stop practicing. Steph Curry goes to the same repetition before every game, no matter what is happening. Repetition is everything. We have 1,700 videos on this channel, and my goal is to rinse and repeat at all times. I do it for myself all the time. Somebody recently said in a comment, I've been subscribed to this channel for 3 weeks, and every video sounds the same. I cannot thank you enough for saying that. That to me is the goal. I've been investing for over 20 years, in fact, 25 years, and I still repeat the same things to myself every single day. I do not deviate because I realize that the one way I'm going to beat the market is by doing this and this only, handling my emotions. Guys, we all have emotions. I'm not telling you to become a robot. I'm not telling you to become some android who sits there and goes, I have no emotions. Not at all. What I want you to do is be aware of what's going on in the markets. Now, for our 1,700 videos that quote unquote all sound the same, there's still the point of analyzing the companies, because even though the overall aspect, and I have value investor friends, and we'll look at the same company and come with completely different values. My good friend Gary, he has a company that I looked at recently, and I said, Gary, what do you see in this? There's too much debt on here. He's like, well, I'm fine with the debt. I wasn't fine with the debt. And Gary, I consider to have a better process in mind, and he was okay with a very, very high debt level that I was not okay with on that company. But what's the key? We still want to buy $1 for much less than $1. We still want to make conservative assumptions about the future of a company. We want to make all conservative assumptions and have margin of safety. Just this morning, I had a few pieces of bad news that come in. We have 8 or 9 businesses upstairs, and if you've been watching our channel for a while, you probably know that. It's become an ongoing joke on the channel. Oh, Paul's got 8 or 9 businesses. And everybody's like, I'll get messages on Instagram. People say to me, Paul, what the heck? Is it 8 or is it 9? And they're obviously not into the joke, but I don't know what the number is, and I don't want to because it's just kind of fun. But either way, 2 of them had 2 pieces of bad news that came in this morning. Nothing awful, but it put a pit in my stomach. And I stopped and I said, okay, I'm being emotional here. Have I ever had news like this before? Yeah, lots of times. Have I had news worse than this before? Yeah, a few times. Actually, several times. Have I always survived? Yes. What have I done to survive? I took a step back and I said, okay, here are the issues. Is it really a big issue? If the answer is yes, how do I fix that issue? If the answer is no, how do I live with that or use it as a way of understanding what I need to do in the future? Information is going to come at us. Our job is to make decisions based on that. But the question we have to ask ourselves is this information really, really relevant to what we're looking at? And has everybody else overly dramatized the information and stuffed down the prices of those assets? So let's look at the history of stocks and investments. I've shown this graph so many times. A few of my friends like tease me and say, Paul, as you know, stocks go like this, but in between, and they do this to me in front of me just to be funny. This is the value of stocks over time. But this is the price of those stocks as they go along. They're going to go up and down. But your goal should be to dollar cost average. If you dollar cost average along the way, you're going to overpay sometimes, and you're going to overpay and you're going to underpay sometimes. Over time, you're going to do this. And your goal should be to emotionally be ready to always be okay when stocks are down here and not to get too excited when stocks are up here. If you can, when stocks are selling below these metrics, if you can add more money, even better. That's how you're going to do better than everybody else you know. Beating the market is as simple as dollar cost averaging. That's matching the market. That's going to beat everyone you know, including the advisors out there who claim to be experts. 92% of actively managed mutual funds run by the Harvard MBAs of the world do not beat the market over a 10-year period of time. And the ones that do, they probably did very, very poorly along that way, because in order to really beat the market, you have to look foolish at times. In fact, the vast majority of the ones that beat the market over a 10-year period of time, at some point in that 10 years, were in the bottom 10% performance of mutual funds in their category. And that's when people leave them. So the point for you is have a process, find a process, rinse and repeat, just like Steph Curry does, just like LeBron does, just like Tiger Woods does, just like Serena Williams does, who just retired with the best career in women's sports and arguably one of the best careers in all of sports. Wayne Gretzky, every great in history, when they finally found their focus, stuck to it and repeated and never stopped getting better. Go look at Giannis from Milwaukee Bucks. Go look at his picture from his first draft. He was skin and bones. Go look at him now. He is jacked. Go look at LeBron 19 years ago when he started in the NBA, and go look at him now. He is absolutely jacked. He went and got better. He worked on the things that he needed to work on. So if repetition is boring for you, I get it. It can be boring. But luckily, we like looking at so many different companies and so many different kind of assets that it works out very well in the long run to be part of this whole entire channel. And not only that, we have a great community. This community has exclusive content and videos and just things like that, and people you can talk to in our community above. There are thousands of people talking every single day about investments. Go learn from them. It's just less than a cup of coffee per day. Go learn from them. Have engaging conversations, because this stuff, it's funny, my fiance and I always talk about a relationship. And she used to hate it when I said, well, like investing. And she's like, I'm not a stock to buy. I'm like, that's not the point. The point is, in our relationship, we have great times and we have not so great times. Do we bail when it's not so great? No. But have we bailed? Yeah, we've broken up before. Why? Because we sat there and said, is this thing going to work unless we fix these problems? Same thing with an investment. It's no different. You have to look at the information and say, is this really relevant for the long run? And guess what? We got through it and we got better and we got back together, and now we're engaged and we're getting married, and we literally have never been happier in our relationship. And that's possible. But the great news for you is, unlike a relationship, you have 10,000 companies to look at, and you can buy multiple ones at once. As opposed to a relationship, you have to pick one person, right? But your goal is to look at 10,000 companies. Pick your process. And if you choose to have a part of your portfolio to be specific to individual stocks, maybe 20% of it, have the other 80% in long-term ETFs that follow the market. If you pick 20% and put those in 30 or 40 companies that fit a certain criteria for you, you will probably do very well as long as you stick and you don't let the emotions get the best of you. Now, sometimes the news could be very detrimental to the company. You go, wait a second, this is real. There could be a problem here. Blackberry, for example. Look at Blackberry from 12 years ago. iPhone came in the market and we're just taking away market share. Some might say, oh, they're making a comeback. Blackberry could make a comeback. It didn't happen. So that could have been a value play that a lot of people fell for. I never looked at Blackberry back then, so I don't know. But I bet if I look back there might have been an opportunity, there might not have been. I don't know. But they were constantly losing market share, and somebody could have done the research saying, you know, this Apple iPhone, it's really crushing that. It is really crushing that. It's going to completely obliterate Blackberry. But guess what? As much as Blackberry sucks from a standpoint of the performance of the company, it's still around. It's still a $3.5 billion company. But look at where it was before. It was $140 a share, and now it's $5 a share. All right? Look at its revenue. It's done $700 million. Oh my God, that's so bad. Look what they did. They peaked at $20 billion in revenue. In the last 12 months, they've done $700 million. So this is part of the process, guys. Part of the process is understanding what you're buying. And I do this to say the emotional part is the most important part. You're not going to be a robot. I'm not a robot. I still succumb to my emotional problems and pressures as well. But if you're able to take as much of it as you can and have a community of people there with you to talk it through, you will do way better in investing. And this isn't enough here. You have to understand our 8-pillar process. So please watch our next video on our full 8-pillar process and subscribe to our channel. Thank you very much for your time.